Well, good morning, all. Welcome and congratulations are in order. Um, all, or at least most of you, are delegates from your own college, which is an honor to be able to attend the General Assembly as a speaking voting delegate. So you are special and important to your own college and to the collective group. My name is David Mazzara. Um, my highfalutin title is Professional Registered Parliamentarian. And when I do presentations at local colleges and someone says, "What's a parliamentarian?" my usual answer is, I'm a Robert's Rules of Order geek. Um, I have studied, I have tested, I have taught parliamentary procedure to all sorts of groups over the last 25 years. In fact, when the SSCCC was formed by Dr. Adams, I don't know, 12, 14 years ago, maybe, I was the parliamentarian for the Academic Senate, ASCCC, and Dr. Adams asked if I would switch over and also help get the SSCCC General Assembly going, which I did for 3 or 4 years. And a couple of my colleagues, also professional registered parliamentarians, have been working with the SSCCC on and off over the last 6 or 7 years. And I was asked by Dr. Adams to step in again for this General Assembly. And I am delighted to be back. So here I am, and here we go. I have done individual colleges around the Greater Bay Area, and student body associations, when they have their meetings, do things a little differently, one from another. For example, there's one college in the Bay Area that the student body president may not lead their student assembly, that only the vice president has that role, and the vice president has no vote. And other SBAs do it totally different, that they have student body president, that they can vote, and so on. Well, the catch is that whatever you might do at your local school and local student senate or local student assembly, it's going to be a little different than how SSCCC runs their General Assembly. And with potentially 117 different schools and delegates, you've got to come to an agreement that we will do things one way. And that's what we're going to help you with today, to talk about the SSCCC convention rules and your role as a delegate coming up at the assembly. This is the first of 3 trainings. If you have to leave early or just want to redo the training, check with Dr. Adams and she'll give you the dates, in fact, probably already has, and the contact with other dates that we'll be doing this. At the end, there is a slide that says questions, but if you have a pressing question, something comes up, if I use a term you're not familiar with, or you're just totally confused, no problem. Please hit your electronic raise hand, and Dr. Adams will stop and we'll deal with it at that time. So, moving on, your role as a delegate. You have been given this responsibility as the one and only voting delegate from your college. So you are expected to attend all of the sessions on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the first weekend in April, either in person in Santa Clara or by video and audio online. And you've already, I'm sure, been given the links on how to do that. The middle box says that only you, a registered delegate, may make motions. Now, the joke is that I'm going to make a motion out the door and leave, but that's not what a motion means in parliamentary procedure. A simple definition of a motion is any suggestion that a member has that they wish the entire group to consider and accept. So an example that will come up later is that if you've been meeting for 2 hours and you need a restroom break, you can make a motion to recess. It is a recommendation that you make that you'd like the entire group to consider and then adopt or accept. And Robert's Rules of Order has 87 different possible motions. And that's something that I've had to study to know what each possible motion is and how to deal with it and how to process it. You'll see a slide in a few minutes that you as an SSCCC delegate will only have to worry about a maximum of 8 possible motions, not 87. And in reality, at the upcoming assembly, chances are that maybe 3, maybe 4 of those will even come into play. So let's just hold on and you'll see how simple it is. And I'll repeat the definition of motion in a few minutes. As far as voting, we have people in person, people on video Zoom, and possibly people on a phone in line. How can all 3 of those groups vote? Well, the answer is that SSCCC uses software called Poll Everywhere. And you will have a special code. We'll show you in a few minutes about Poll Everywhere. And at the end of my pitch, Dr. Adams will walk you through how to use Poll Everywhere in order that everyone may vote. In terms of attending, your presence is imperative to the point that we will do a roll call to find out which delegates are present so that you and your school get credit for being present. And also, Robert's Rules and the SSCCC rule book says that you must have a majority of possible delegates present in order to have a quorum and legally have a meeting. For example, I can't see how, oh yeah, here it is. There are 32 participants in this call, minus Dr. Adams and myself, who are not delegates. You might only have 30 delegates present here. If we decided as part of this Zoom meeting to, hey, let's get some business done early with SSCCC. Let's take one of the resolutions and let's debate it and vote on it. We'll get it out of the way and not have to worry about it uh, next in 2 weeks. Well, that's not legal according to all sorts of rules. Um, it's not according to the Brown Act that you run under. It's not according to Robert's rules. It's not according to SSCCC rule book. We don't have a quorum of possible delegates here. And we would be holding a secret meeting, which is a no-no. So we're going to want to call a roll at the beginning of each session at Santa Clara, and it will be called through the poll everywhere to say, are you present? Hit yes, and we add up the numbers to see if it's going to be a legal meeting. And it'll be easy there, but I just wanted to let you know that that's what it's all about. And then when we break for lunch and come back, we need to make sure that we have a quorum or the minimum number of delegates necessary to hold the meeting. So I said we'd be talking about motions. These are 8 possible motions, and they have come up at one time or another at an SSCCC assembly. But for the upcoming one, yeah, maybe 4, but let's take each one. Motion 1 is called a main motion, also called a resolution. And remember what a motion is some action that you want the entire group to consider and accept so that you do it. Well, a main motion is one that brings business before the assembly. In this case, a resolution brings business before the assembly. Now, I'm not sure what the latest count is. Dr. Adams can tell us. When I looked at the booklet of resolutions, which are type of main motion, there were 96 resolutions for your assembly to consider. But only I have a count of 19 will actually be presented as main motions. And I'll talk about the other 75 later. So any one of those 19 resolutions is automatically presented on the floor for debate, for discussion, for a vote, for consideration to either adopt or not adopt. So that is a main motion. If you were at your SBA and someone said, I think we should donate money from our student fund to the local school that had a fire in their library, and I think we should donate $100 in good faith from our local college to pay for some new books as a donation. Okay, that's all very wordy. How would you make that into a motion? Simple. Notice at the bottom, your name, I move to donate $100 of student funds to the local library. Period. That's it. Simple. And then when you discuss it, you can talk about it, why it's necessary. You might vote, discuss in favor that, yeah, this would be good to get some PR for our college. Or, no, I don't think we have $100 to spare, whatever. And then ultimately, a vote is taken to adopt that main motion or not adopt it. So that's the process of processing a main motion. Number 2 is a motion to amend the main motion or amend the resolution, which means I would like to tweak it to improve it. So example, I move to amend the main motion by striking $100 and inserting $250. Okay, if you debate, consider, discuss that amendment, it's is $250 better or worse than 100? And then you vote to adopt the amendment. If it passes, then your main motion has been improved to read, I move that we donate $250 from student funds to the local library to pay for books lost. If it fails, then the main motion is still considered as it originally was. So at the assembly, when one of the resolutions is ready to be debated, if there is already an amendment, it will come up first to try to perfect the main motion, and you will have a chance to discuss, debate the amendment, and ultimately vote yes to make that amendment a part of the original motion or no, continue as it originally was. Okay, the third possible motion is to recess, which I mentioned before. And your president of the ASCCC is probably going to watch the clock and after a certain time, call for a recess. If that doesn't happen and you as a delegate think that 2 hours on your bum is too much, that you would like yourself to move to recess, then you as a delegate could say, my name is so-and-so of such and such a college. I move to recess for 10 minutes. And then that motion is processed because you made the motion and it takes precedence over the resolution and the amendment, whatever you're doing, you then vote. And if a majority of your fellow delegates would like a recess and vote yes, then the motion passes and you recess for 10 minutes. And how do you vote on it? Poll everywhere. It'll go up on the screen in person or on your Zoom that says motion to recess for 10 minutes. Yes, no, abstain, and you push one of the buttons and your vote is recorded. Now, I'm going to go to Parliamentary Procedure 102 right now. And earlier when we got to the president of the ASCCC saying, we've been debating this for a while, let's recess. There is a process called unanimous consent that the chair would say, the president would say, listen to this wording, if there is no objection, we will recess for 10 minutes. Not hearing any objection or seeing any objection in the chat, we are in recess for 10 minutes. And that is a motion that is presented and adopted by unanimous consent. If one person objects, then you don't have unanimous consent. Why would one person object? Well, that's their prerogative. And we're going to talk later also about a consent calendar, which we'll save till later. But some motions can be handled that are not controversial, like lunchtime. Our agenda says we break for lunch at 12 o'clock, and the president says it is now approaching 12 o'clock. Without objection, we stand in recess for lunch for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever. Is there any objection? Not hearing any, we are in recess. So that is that motion. And if there is no objection, we'll go on to the fourth motion, which is to refer. And any of your resolutions have been cleared by your executive committee to go onto the agenda. Sometimes people feel that we need more work on this that we just can't do in this General Assembly. So I go to the parliamentary microphone and say, my name is Delegate so-and-so from this college. I move to refer this resolution and any amendments that are still considered to the executive committee to report back at the next General Assembly. And that motion to refer is discussed, is voted upon by poll everywhere. And if it passes, then the resolution and any amendments are taken off the floor for discussion and sent back to exec. And occasionally that happens. And when it does happen, your president will explain what's going on and it will take a vote. And if you say, no, we need to deal with this today and vote on it today, we have enough at our avail, that we shouldn't postpone it, sending it back to the exec. So down to number 5 is the actual motion to postpone. And this would come up, let's say it is 1 minute before 12, and the agenda says recess for lunch at 12. A thoughtful delegate would say, I'm Delegate so-and-so from this college. I move to postpone this resolution until after lunch. And the president would probably say, is there any objection? If not, your motion is adopted by unanimous consent. I don't see why 1 minute to noon, somebody would say, yeah, I object. I think we should vote on this by poll everywhere. Well, if they do, then it's going to take a couple of minutes and you're losing your lunchtime. So that's an example of, and it probably won't come up unless something major is happening in the morning and maybe the main speaker has had to step outside, and I move to postpone this until the main speaker returns. Yeah, it's a possibility, but probably won't happen. Motion 6, it says to limit debate. It should also say to limit or extend debate. Now, your Senate convention rules say that each resolution is to be considered, debated for a maximum of 10 minutes, and that any one speech in favor of or opposed to the resolution is limited to 2 minutes. Okay, if there are so many people lining up to try to speak in debate, a possible motion is, Madam President, I'm Delegate so-and-so of this college. I move to limit debate on this resolution to 1-minute speeches. Now, that motion itself is not debatable. It would be silly to debate whether to debate. So you simply vote by poll everywhere to limit the future speeches to 1 minute, yes or no. And if it passes, then the debate speeches are limited. If it fails, you keep the 2-minute time. But if 5 delegates speak for 2 minutes, there's your 10 minutes. So motion number 6 can also be to extend the limits of debate past the 10 minutes. And your convention rules say that this motion may be made to extend the 10-minute time limit for once only extension during any one debate or resolution for a maximum of 5 minutes. So we've run out of our 10 minutes. We're going to vote on the resolution. Oh, but there are people still that want to debate pro and con. I am delegate, Madam President, from such and such a college. I move to extend the limits of debate for 5 more minutes. And again, this can only be done once per resolution and for a maximum of 5 minutes. So if poll everywhere is adopted to extend the debate, then you extend the 10 minutes to a total of 15 minutes. And at the end of that, there is no more extension. Okay, motion number 7 is a strange parliamentary term of previous question. This is a formal motion that you would say, Madam President, I move to the previous question. Well, the previous question was the resolution you started with. And I would like to go back to that and vote on it immediately, even though there's time left in the 10 minutes. Well, let's be honest. If there are still people wanting to debate pro and con, then that's rather dilatory to say, I don't want anybody else to speak, so I want the vote to happen now. The presiding officer, the president, might ask me, the parliamentarian, is this okay? And my parliamentary ruling would be, well, it's a legitimate motion, but do you think it's fair to the group to cut off debate when people still want to debate? But if the debate is waning, that maybe the only person seeking recognition has already spoken, then I move the previous question because there's nothing new and compelling to add, and this might be a good motion. It itself is not debatable. You go straight to a vote. Poll everywhere says previous question. Shall we stop debate and vote? Yes or no? And this one will take a 2/3 vote to adopt because you are potentially fiddling with people's rights to debate. But if it gets a 2/3 vote, you go ahead and debate. I'm sorry, you go ahead and continue debating. Now, there are 2 other ways to stop the debate. One is if the chair says, is there anyone who wishes to continue debating? And no one goes to a debate microphone and no one online goes into chat, then the presiding officer, the president, says, it appears that we have exhausted debate and we will vote. Another way that you go to the vote is that if the chair says, does anybody wish to speak in favor? And someone is recognized and speaks pro on the resolution. The chair then says, is there anybody who wishes to speak against the resolution? And no one goes to the con microphone. No one online raises a hand or goes to the chat to say, yes, I'd like to debate against. If there is no one on the opposite side, even if there's a dozen people pro, your Senate rules say you go immediately to a vote. I use this analogy, but no reason to beat a dead horse. Well, we don't like to beat horses anyway, let alone dead ones. So, but that's the idea that if there's only people speaking in favor, then it's pretty clear no one wants to speak opposed, and let's go and vote on. The last motion I'll mention, and then I'm going to see if a break with any questions, is the motion to divide the question. Now remember, the question is the resolution. Some resolutions have multiple parts, such as, therefore be it resolved that X, and be it further resolved that Y, and be it further resolved that Z. And you have 3 resolved clauses in one resolution. Sometimes people are in favor of one or another of the resolved clauses, but not for one of them. And wouldn't it be nice if we could vote yes on the first and second, but no on the third? Well, you can't do that if it's resolved that X, Y, and Z. So there is a legitimate motion to divide the resolved clauses and consider them separately. So, Madam President, before we even begin the debate, my name is a delegate from this college. I move to divide the question and consider the third resolve separately. And this goes to poll everywhere vote to divide out the third whereas and consider it separately. If it fails, you put them all together and vote on them all together. If it passes, you first take the first and second resolves together, debate, discuss, vote on their adoption, and it may pass. Then you go to the third resolve that you've divided out and you consider it separately to discuss, debate, and vote separately. And it could also pass or it could fail, but that's what you have accomplished with dividing the question. Now, that's a mouthful and an earful and a headful, and if you're taking notes, a page full about possible motions that you would encounter. If we stop now, Dr. Adams, has anyone posed a question or raised a hand? It looks like there are lots of people that have said something in chat, but that might be just to put their names in. What do you think? Any questions? Or Dr. Adams, where should we go?
I do not see any questions.
Either because it's so clear or it's so overwhelming, but there will be time for questions at the end. No hands raised. So we will then move on. If you are in person, the ballroom at the hotel will have round tables for you to sit at. And notice the 3 red MIC notices for 3 mics. When I've talked before about making motions, identifying yourself, or speaking pro and con, if there are a couple hundred people in the ballroom, including delegates and other members of colleges that are not delegates, you can't all start talking at once. You have to be recognized one at a time by the president. So here's how you do it. One of the microphones, let's say the one that we see on the left, it will be labeled pro, that if you wish to speak pro or in favor of a resolution, you would go and line up at that microphone in order, and you would be recognized in the order of precedence, priority of how you lined up. The other microphone, let's say to the right, is labeled con, that if you want to speak opposed to that resolution, you would line up there. If you as a delegate are online, then you go to the chat function, you click on it, and you tell the Zoom host, pro or con, your name and your college. And the Zoom host will make a queue, just like there's a queue lining up behind the pro and con microphones, will make a pro and con queue online. And the president says, we are now in order to begin debating this resolution. I will read the resolve clauses so everybody knows what the resolution is. Is there a pro speaker? And the chair will look to the pro microphone and say, the first person in line is recognized. Please state your name and college. We have 10 total minutes to debate this resolution, but you have a maximum of 2 minutes. And there will be a timekeeper seated down off the dais in front of the presiding officer to give time signals. And that person is given a maximum of 2 minutes. Let's say they only speak for a minute. Great. Now we're in line for a con speaker, and we'll look to the microphone to the left of the president, to our right, and the first person lined up, the president will say, the con microphone is recognized. Please state your name and school. You have up to 2 minutes. When that person finishes, the presiding officers will say to the Zoom host, is there anybody online who wishes to speak con? And the Zoom host will say no, if nobody has gone into the chat room to say pro, or will say yes, delegate so-and-so from such and such a school is recognized for a pro speech. And the president will say, you have 2 minutes and you speak on Zoom, and we will see you because there will be a screen that will pin you, and we will hear you speaking via Zoom. When you have finished your pro online speech, the president will say to the Zoom host, is there anybody on Zoom online who wishes to speak con? And if there is not, then the chair would say, well, then we'll go to a con speaker in room at the con mic. Please state your name and your college. So here's the simple. In-house pro mic, in-house con mic. Online pro, online con. In-house pro mic, in-house con mic, online pro, online con. So that may be it with 8 speakers um, in the 10-minute time. What if you want to make that motion to extend the limits to add another 5 minutes? Then notice in the center, another mic will be labeled parliamentary mic or parley mic, and any delegate, not just a member, you have to be a delegate, may go, and if you are next in the parley mic, you have precedence over the other two microphones, and the president will say, uh, for what reason do you go to the parliamentary mic? And you would say, I'm so and so from this school. I move to extend the debate time by 5 minutes. And then the president will process that motion. And if it passes, we'll continue the pro-con debate in-house, in-house, online, online. And if you have any other parliamentary motion that I showed you earlier, that's the place and time to go and ask. If you have a parliamentary inquiry to say, what's going to happen next, who's next to be, or you have a point of order that you think a mistake has been made, you, a delegate, can go to the parliamentary mic and you'll be recognized. But that's the back and forth. And now in terms of voting, we've already said that the voting is done with voting software. Poll everywhere. We'll poll everyone. And we're going to have a tech training right at the end of this. And you should attend one of the tech trainings to know how to vote. Because if you're at home, you need to vote electronically and know how to access the poll everywhere. And if you're in-house, if you're in the convention center, you don't vote by raising your hand or standing up. You too must vote using a laptop or an iPad or a phone to get into the software. So remember, only you as a delegate can make motions and vote. Others, non-delegates, can go and ask a question or can debate from the pro-con mics, but you got to stand in line. And again, on the right, you must be a registered delegate to vote and must use poll everywhere in order to do that. So Q&A for me or for Dr. Adams. If not, and I'm going to come back to this slide, then we're going to go to the voting tech that Dr. Adams will conduct to help you with the online voting. One thing I did say earlier was about unanimous consent. If something is non-controversial, there's no need to debate it and vote on it. If the presiding officer, the president, can say, if there is no objection, we will recess for lunch. Many, many, many of the resolutions in your packet are listed as being on a consent calendar, that they are really important to pass to let all 117 schools and to let the student senate office and to let the chancellor's office know that this is the standing of the academic senate. Did it again. This is the standing senate of the student senate, that this is how we feel that you must go along with this resolution. Well, if all 96 have to be presented, debated, and voted, and 75 of them are non-controversial, before any debate starts at the General Assembly, the 75 that are on a consent calendar will be considered en bloc, en masse, together by consent. And if there's a reason that one of them you think is controversial, you will be given a chance to pull it off the consent calendar and consider it on its own, separate with the other 19 or so. But what a great time saver. I mean, this saves hours of saying, we're going to have to discuss, debate, and vote on each one. No, the ones that are non-controversial that everybody wants to say, yes, go for it. Let's pass it by unanimous consent. Then you do that at the beginning. And the only ones you will actually consider by voting and debating are the ones that are maybe some controversy, or those that you want to maybe amend or consider for further discussion later. So I think that covers all of my convention rules notes that I wanted to cover. So Dr. Adams, the floor is back to you, either for questions or for the next slide.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay. No hands, no questions in chat. Amazing.
Okay, no, hold on, we're having some technology issues.
Someone is causing an echo. Let me go mute. I can either stay
Okay, so let's try that. It was me. I was causing an echo.
okay, I can stay
Can you hear me, Dave?
I can stay and advance the slides or stop my share and let you.
Dave, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you again. Apologize for the echo. That was me. I'm going to stop the oh no, we'll keep the recording. We're going to move really quickly into the technology, folks. And so Deja is going to walk you through the poll everywhere and in real time get you to sign up now so that we can be ready when voting begins on the first day of GA. So on the screen, I'll hand it over to Deja. Deja, if you want to take it from here.
Hi, everyone. Sorry for the echo. I am the executive assistant for the SSCCC. So as Dr. Adams said, we're going to go over it and kind of get you guys familiarized with Poll Everywhere. So if you can, to the slides, if you can type in the pollev.com and type in wisepeak029. In the box, click join. If you are having any issues with just that beginning step, please let me know. Also, you will have to register if you have not already prior to being in the Poll Everywhere system, and you will have to click the forgot password. The important thing to know is that you will need to use the email that was used to register you on the Whova. That is the information that we have, so that is what we use to register you for as your way to do your voting. And as we are on the Zoom call, it's really important to try to log on right now so that we can troubleshoot any issues prior to the voting on Friday in the elections. So like I said, if anyone has any questions, please let me know, and I am here to help and troubleshoot as we are on the call.
So if you're having Got it. So if you're having any problems right now signing in using your phone, your computer, the question from Vanessa is it better to use a laptop? It's whatever is convenient. They're both equally the same. If you try it in one and it doesn't work, you might try the other. So the phones have been successful as far as trying to sign on. So right now you should be trying to sign on, and there is a test open now, so you can go in and verify that it's working, and Deja is watching that to make sure that you're in there. What is the question?
What is your favorite season?
So the question to answer is, what is your favorite season? So I should have at least 29 of you all signing in right now to make sure that you can sign in. The reason why this is important is because on the first day of GA, when we take roll, sometimes it can take a long time to get you all to sign in, and that's time taken away from voting on our 60 resolutions. That's right, 60. So we want to make sure that we're efficient with any of our use. So if you were able to sign in, if you could drop real quick in the chat that you were able to sign in, we can monitor that. So drop right now in the chat if you were able to join in. I don't see, and so is nobody able to sign in? Great, thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Flynn. Miriam, wait, I have the same experience Vanessa is having. So Vanessa's having, she has the app and I've seemed to be already in, but cannot find where to type white speak 0081 029. So Deja will provide information in the chat. Then Marion, Mason, still resetting password. Giovanna, thank you. Isabel, thank you. Derek, thank you. Chloe says you're not registered. Are you the registered delegate, Chloe? Mason's in. Rebecca's in. Wyatt Johnson, we'll need to check Chloe. Chloe, can you drop your last name? Oh, she's not. Oh, well, then you won't be able to sign in if you're not the registered delegate. Wyatt Johnson, are you the registered delegate? I'm gonna stop the recording.